how's my energy level at the moment?
I have been checking. I'm checking your energy level is good.
Well, you got an assistant.
Hello everyone. I'm from Greek people, and I'm just testing. Oh, it's very good. Watch fucking stick there.
Oh, just stay.
And none being people, they have big cocks.
What the fuck
and
is
very
doing?
natural nature, very big.
Okay.
Big.
All
and
right.
cock is big.
So
already.
is this on charge?
Yeah, charge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Northern Beaches #1 podcast. I'm your host, Zach, and you're listening to the Whip podcast. And today we've got Abe stepping in from Kachai.
Voila.
So unfortunately, Elliot can't be here due to unforeseen circumstances. So thankfully, our mentor, our father, Abe is here to support the team.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Doc. I know I'm not as eloquent and handsome as Elliot, but I'll do my best today.
Oh, mate, you give him a good run in for the good looks.
Cheers.
But today we've got a very special guest. He's come a long ways, and we're very thankful that he's made the time because he's got a lot of things going on. So can we please welcome Roger Fabri? Roger Fabri. Sorry.
How'd you do, I? See you next, man. Faithful hand in hand. He's just a little broad diamond. When you knocked, he thought you were the candy man. Don't get strung out by the way I look. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man, by the light of day, but by night I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from the trains.
No worries, Roger. So there's the mic down there for you.
Okay, thank you.
So you had a big drive all the way out here, didn't you?
Yeah, it took me an hour.
Oh, you need to hold the mic today.
Okay.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you. I love the introduction and the get up. Where was the inspiration for that?
Oh, I've been confused lately.
Fair enough.
So, I need to. I'm a big believer of, if you feel something, you should wear it. Or
Yeah,
show it.
definitely.
I'm not one of hiding emotions or hiding anything the way I feel. So mental health plays a part in my life, and at the moment I'm confused. So I thought this was appropriate.
It is very. I really like it. Love the watch as well, and
Thank you.
it's a very confusing world. So it's good to see someone standing up for something.
Absolutely, it actually is a fucked up world, to be honest. I have to say. I think that unfortunately you guys are very young. You would never have seen what I would describe as a world being normal.
Yeah, sure.
You have people contemplating what gender they are. People very, very sensitive about how you speak to them and what you say to them. Got to be very cautious, and especially in a field of my own.
Yeah.
But people know me that I'm not politically correct, and I push boundaries because I refuse to adapt to this type of world the way it's become. I don't like it. I think that it's just taken the fun out of living.
Yeah, sure.
Everything that you say to somebody can be taken out of context
And clipped up.
badly. And you can understand, I'm in a industry where I'm looked at as a mentor for young kids, a lot of kids that train with me. But I feel that political correctness has lost that freedom for them to just experience and enjoy life and be happy. And not everything has a double meaning to it.
Sure.
If I say to a young girl, God, you look good, it doesn't mean I want to fuck them.
Yeah.
It just means that they look good because they train hard, and that's why I'm in that area of fitness and performance. And by giving them credits and compliments, that's important to me, and it shouldn't be taken out of a context. It's like, and at the same time, I'm a quite ruthless coach. So, I draw the line and push the barriers. That's just me. That's just the way it has. At the end of the day, I hope this doesn't sound big-headed, but there wouldn't be a trainer in this country that has the resume that I have.
No, definitely. And so, according to your LinkedIn profile, did a little bit of research.
And
You've worked with big names.
Yeah.
Josh Adokar, Jared Haynes, Sonny Bill Williams.
Yeah, the list will go on and forever and ever. Those types are probably the guys that you're familiar with, but I've been having that higher echelon ever since I've been in coaching like some guys like Phil Blake and Craig Coleman. Those guys, I'm not sure, they were way before your times, but I've been synonymous with names of the highest level for a very long period of time. You're only talking about those ones just because most of the guys or your audience they're familiar with. So it didn't happen overnight though. You know, I didn't suddenly just jump out of a box and suddenly everybody wanted to train with me. You know, it took a lot of hard work and a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of fucking free sessions, man.
Yeah,
A lot of free sessions that people don't understand how much I had to fucking grind to be here. People just think, and you guys have a significant advantage that I have. You have social media to be able to help you create a platform. You know, in my day, there was no such thing as the internet. Word of mouth was the only way that I used to be able to get around.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the luxury of displaying my skills on a tablet or a phone that you could go and have a look at and say, oh, he might be interesting. I had to travel everywhere to be able to get an opportunity to people get a chance just to see what I could do. So I'm not trying to big note myself again, but it didn't happen just overnight. And anyone who wants to get into the performance industry and think that they're just going to be fire without actually doing the hard yards, then you're fucking dreaming.
Yeah, sure, of course. I could imagine it wouldn't be easy starting from the ground up.
It'd be like you guys with your podcast. I mean, you're just starting at an entry level, or I'm not sure how long you've been around for, but it's a grind. And if you're not willing to grind and get in there and do the hard yards and speak to two people, which is probably what your audience may have been when you first started, then this is not for you. It's just about perseverance.
Yeah, definitely.
It's about grinding, and it's about trying to give the audience the best job that they can get. Separate yourself from somebody else. And I think I do a good job of doing that.
I think you're very different to all of our other guests that we've had. We've had politicians on, and none of them are as confident as you, which is all really cool to see, especially in this day and age.
And that's the other thing. Again, you know, it's people might look at confidence or arrogance. It's a very fine line between the two of them, but you got to back yourself. If you don't back yourself, then you stay regular.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
You know, I'm a big fan of backing my confidence and backing. As I said before, I suffer heavily. I don't know if I did say it, but I suffer heavily with mental health, very much. And so if you can fight that war, man, you can fight any war. You know, I've been through the shithouse. I've been to jail. I've been through mental health situations. And by far and away, the mental health war has been the hardest, and it never seems to finish.
Yeah,
so you've got to be
sure.
able to have that tenacity to be able to do that. Back yourself. There's nothing wrong with showing a little bit of confidence. If I don't believe I'm the best at what I do, then if you come to me as an athlete, how do I make you be the best version of you if I don't believe I'm the best version of me? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like you've faced a lot of things in your life, and you have persevered. Like it feels like that's the main message that you like and try to teach your young students as well.
Absolutely. Look, you would be ignorant to think that life doesn't have adversities or hurdles. You know, nothing is all smooth sailing. You know, if you got yourself mesmerized in a world of social media where only good things are ever promoted, then it's a world of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Because you learn the greatest things out of all the challenges that you go through.
Definitely.
And each time I go through a period, and still at the age of 56, every time I go through a type of adversity or overcome a situation, I get more strength out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it's and life is like that. You know, I just had a girl just come back from the Commonwealth Games who's ranked number 1 in this country and it's an unfortunate time because all the publicity right now seems to be around the Matildas.
Yeah.
And then, so if you're a female in any sport, you're just going to get cut. And athletics is already thrown to the curb. You never hardly see any type of promotion for it.
I've heard you also say on other podcasts there's no money in it as well.
It's
so hard. So you're committing all that time and
so I
struggling.
needed this time right now for her to get some type of promotion and fire, and just things have worked against me. Australia has just won the Netball World Championships, you know, which has got very limited publicity, gone into probably the greatest achievement that Australia has done in women's sport for a very long time, making the semi-finals in a game that's global.
Yeah, sure.
So all the hype's around them, and good for them. Good for them. But it sort of needed to be my time as well. And the reason I did bring this up is because Delta, that girl in particular, was the youngest girl on the Australian team to make the World Championships last year, and she went to Colombia, all the way over to Colombia, and it's a very she's in hurdles. So if you make a mistake, you pay the ultimate price in hurdles. Like if you clip a hurdle, you're out.
Yeah, sure.
So she travelled all the way over to Colombia, and that's exactly what happened to her. So it could have been catastrophic. It could have gone one way or the other. She got another chance to go national representation, and she learned so much from that adversity. She's come back this time as a dual record holder.
Wow.
At the age of 16, she's ranked now number 1 in the world in 2 disciplines.
And there's that perseverance for you, like you've been teaching.
And I promise you, so many people get born with the gift.
Yep.
And you would have heard this many, many times. You know, that old cliche is either, you're either born with the gift or the other people just work hard. But if you get a combination of the two, which is rare, which they work hard and born with the gift, then usually that's greatness. You got to throw something else into there. There's other things that, and it's very difficult for you guys to understand. You just sort of see people that have got the whole package, and it's a very, very small percentage. You can't honestly think that that there's only a few people that will go out and train in the rain or go out and train no matter all these motivational things that you see. The whole world is training hard.
Yeah,
the whole
sure.
world will do something that they think that everybody else is not doing. But there's many people that like, oh yeah, I got out there because nobody else will do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that one athlete that you get very rarely, and I've been very blessed to have so many of them, they bounce different. You just know it, they bounce different. When I say they bounce different, they tick every box. You see the way that they prepare, you see the way they pay attention to detail, their body language, every part of them is different to being regular. And they're the controllables in life, because the uncontrollables in life is you're either born with it or you haven't got it.
Yeah, sure.
That's just factual. You can be great at doing everything you possibly can do to be the best version of yourself, but if you haven't been born with that gift, you will never get into that place, that podium. And that's something we can't control. Being on TV, those types of athletes where people have to pay attention to them, they're genetic. That's genetic. But the road to greatness is controlled by yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And then I wanted to dive a little deep into your story as well. So our podcast it's mainly based around life on the Northern Beaches. And that's because that's where Elliot and myself grew up.
Yeah.
And we believe where you grow up has a big impact on your lives. So
I have a perception.
Sorry?
I have a perception.
Yes.
So, if you're saying to me around the Northern Beaches, and your listeners might get disappointed with what I feel that they're like privileged over here.
Oh,
Well, everyone thinks the same.
Okay, cool. Okay, I didn't know if
That's
that
not
had.
a popular opinion at all. Everyone thinks that the people that live here, it's privilege.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
not
know.
entirely true.
Do you feel that's true?
No, it's not true. I'm not privileged.
No, I don't. I was just going to say I totally disagree that. Yeah, I don't know why it has that aura about it.
Just a lot
No,
of
there must be a reason. Why doesn't Vaucluse have that?
Yeah.
I mean, they do to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I live in I used to live in a highly affluent area.
Sure.
I don't know what, I'll be honest with you, this culture of the Northern Beaches guys has happened since I was a young kid.
really, it's going that long.
Yeah.
And what was the perception always then?
The Silvertail area.
Yeah,
it's
right.
like these guys are just like, I have no idea why. I don't know why and while we're talking about this, and I'm glad you brought this up because I have no idea on your concept.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I apologise, just time eluded me. I usually do watch something and try and get an idea. So, but even saying that, I perform heaps better if I just can roll off the cuff. So I don't like, if I have nothing planned, then I'm much better. I don't know why there's been always a divide. It's like, this side of the beach, this side of the bridge, or that side of the bridge. I don't know why. But it's been there since I can remember.
Yeah, I think that comes down to that feeling of sort of community. Everyone up this way is like, it's the insular peninsula, and if you don't know who someone is, you might not necessarily make them feel welcome. So Abe's actually from Chile,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so he moved here
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
But you obviously, I'm going to go against you now because
Okay.
you obviously think that there is something to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have named this to do with the Northern Beaches.
So-
you're highlighting something as well.
Yeah, because I love this place. So my story as well was I was blessed enough to live here. So I was actually adopted.
Yeah, oh, that's fabulous. But when
Yeah,
you say
yeah.
you're blessed enough, I don't get it still.
Yeah, sure.
So reiterate, both of you. So you're both saying, you just said to me before, you don't feel privileged, but then he's counterproductive and saying he's blessed to live
No, I
here.
said I'm not privileged,
I agree.
but I feel privileged because I love this place. I love the beauty of it. I love the community of it.
So are you saying
And
that
I know
I'm
that
missing something though by living in Maroubra?
No, not at all.
Not at all. I live there too.
Okay, but we're still
It's
we're
just-
going
it's
around in
just like
circles.
stigma of like it's somehow Northern Beaches is better, but like I feel like everywhere in this country it's just beautiful and it's amazing.
Mate, you're talking to the preacher. I'm the biggest advocate for that. Your backstory is interesting. You've been adopted. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, so I don't think it's better than any other place, but I just have a great love for this area because I was adopted. My birth mother was from Balinese,
Yeah.
from Bali. And so she had to keep it a secret that she had gave birth to me and then was from Bali, so she came here to study. And so then every second that I'm here on the Northern Beaches, instead of maybe living a life that could have been harder, I've been blessed with a loving family, had a great school, had great friends, have had a great job. And that's why I love highlighting
great
this area.
podcast.
And a great podcast, the number one.
Okay.
And that's why we wanted to tailor the podcast around the Northern Beaches because we are so grateful to have such an amazing place to live in.
And
thought
then,
this
saying
is-
that, and then saying that too, like as you were saying that there's this privilege cloud of like Northern Beaches, but it's also mental health problems here and stuff that we all go through. So this is the platform that the boys have built is for just to talk about that. Any of the problems that it's
What a
in regards
fabulous.
to the community, to the
And I love that. And it makes me even happy to be on here now. I think it's a great service. Like, I know that, like, you think about it. How's my energy level at the moment?
I have been checking. I'm checking your energy level is good.
Oh, you got an assistant.
Maybe this one, Rog. Maybe
Roger's
this one
assistant
is
George
good.
here.
Oh, yeah.
This one
So
here,
this
I
is
don't know.
George. This
Let
guy.
me have a look. I checked your energy level. Hello, everyone. I'm from Greek people, and I'm just testing. Oh, it's very good. Watch fucking stick there.
Oh, just stay, stay.
Another being people, they have big cocks
What the fuck
and
is
very
doing?
natural nature, very big.
Okay.
Big,
All
and
right.
cock is big.
So
already.
is this on charge?
Yeah, charge it.
What? All right,
you-
I'm good now.
You're very good. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, George.
Is that a daily activity or every hour?
So I've been I'm trying to lose some weight.
Yeah. So shock
So-
therapy.
Well, it's not so much shock therapy. It's just
I reckon it's working already.
yeah, like what's happened to me because I've lost a lot of energy from trying to lose weight because I've been doing it dramatically. I know you heard about intermittent fasting, but I'm hardly eating anything, right? Because I want to get a good result. So, what usually happens to a car when it gets charged? You charge the battery. So
You thought, why not try it on my dick?
we've been doing it on my balls.
Yeah.
So I bought it's just
Jump
charger.
charge 900
Jump
amp. They're
charger.
pretty
Yeah.
good, yeah.
100 yet.
But you got to get the wattage rate, which is really important. So I'm 56, so
Yeah.
900 amps is perfect for me.
Yeah.
What happens if you do too many?
Oh, you overdose. You pass away.
Is it pleasant? Like, did you like it?
Is it pleasant? It's not bad. You know, I used it while the soccer penalty shootout was on.
Yeah.
I went into my car naked.
I saw that Instagram comment you made.
Yeah. And I actually passed out because the wattage was too much. So I ended up having to go to hospital. And I was put on a drip for 14 hours.
Yeah, right.
I lost completely fluid. Because if George puts it up too loud,
Yeah.
you orgasm without even knowing you're orgasming.
Well, that
which is scary. So it was a very
I'm glad that
difficult
he's
period.
well trained.
Yeah, he is. You wouldn't think so, but yeah, he does quite a good job.
What type of training do you have to go through for that?
Oh, you go through. Well, I'm not, and this is no disrespect, but you have to go through the Air Force.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're like flying. I did an induction period there, and they threw me straight out.
Oh no.
Yeah,
On what grounds?
just obscenity.
Too good looking.
Sanity.
Just thought that the world, again, as I said to you, was just not politically correct already for me.
No,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Is it ready now? No, definitely not. Hard times to.
Well,
be
I
in.
keep pushing the barriers, and people keep rising to me. Either some people come or some people abuse me. You can only imagine. And we go back onto a serious note right now. Look at what I'm doing. I'm giving ammunition to people who can't stand my progress. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right now, they can interpret this whatever way they want to interpret, cut it up, which they will, and they'll comment on it just as like they will. They'll call me a pedophile or whatever they want. But that's just because I've succeeded. At the end of the day, I don't really care what people think about me. I used to. And isn't it ironic? Like, let's talk about, and for your community, you guys are talking about mental health and trying to bring the community together, et cetera, et cetera. Now, think about this, right? I'm in a constant war here, and my psychologist even says to me, says, you know what, I can't understand it. You're a person who is constantly worried about the way you present or how you're going to perform, but you give ammunition to people to fire bullets at you
Yeah.
by your comments, by your ridiculousness. But you know what? To be honest, my counter argument is, and you guys would understand this, having the joy of seeing people laugh at what I do and just enjoy having and just thinking, getting away from what they're feeling, mate, that gives me the biggest enjoyment of all time.
Yeah. How do you get feedback on that? Do you interact with your fans or like on the street? How do you go?
Don't get me wrong, I'm not a rock star, but I'm certainly, for a 56-year-old guy, I got swag. There's no doubt. I've got fucking 30-odd thousand followers or whatever I have. I'm 56. I'm not a footballer or a model. Like, I'm a sprint coach. Nobody would know any other sprint coach. I'm the only sprint coach you ever hear talked about. So how do I feel about it? Yeah, it does. It makes me feel good. That's the answer to the question. When people will stop me in the street, which doesn't happen often, but it does happen, and I'm walking with my family and someone wants to take a photo with me, my daughter's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like when I got that blue tick, this is
Coveted blue
Before you
tick.
can pay for it.
before you can pay for it. Mine's authentic. I earned my fucking blue tick. Like, it's a good feeling. Social media has its pros and cons. There's no doubt about that. I like it because it distracts me from thinking about me sometimes.
And when you get shit comments, how do you react?
I used to let it worry me. I don't let it worry you
Do
anymore.
you read them all though?
No. Do I read them? That's a good question. Depends what mental state I'm in.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I know
that's
if
a good
it's
gauge.
not going to
That's
hurt
wise.
me, yeah. If it's not going to hurt me and I'm in a good place, yeah. If I know I'm in a bad place, which I have been in the last couple of weeks since I've been trying to lose weight, and that's serious, I have been, because it's really funny. I've only just noticed this. You probably wouldn't even think that I need to lose weight, but I went to my doctor, right, and he said that I'm, you got the BMI, you're in the body mass index, and as far as my body mass index, I'm described as obese, right? And being a real good speed coach, or whatever you want to call me, has allowed me to network with people who are the best in their industries. I have a philosophy in life. I believe just stick to what you're great at and be elite at it, and let the others be great in their own individual fields. So around me, so if an athlete, for example, was to come to me and be under my guidance, then I only look after their speed work. And for their rehab, I have a specialist.
Yeah.
For their resistance component, I have a specialist. For their nutrition, I have a specialist. For a doctor, I have a specialist. So we network within each other. So we have a really good, like when I come there, the package that I give is of the highest class. So, and he was like, I really want you to try and, he says to me, I associate with you because you're great at what you're doing, right? My job, this is a doctor talking, right, is to keep you alive. And I want you to be able to do everything possible to do that, right? So I want you to be the best version of yourself. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I don't do any. I don't do it for the simple fact, not because I don't want to fucking live till I don't want to be in a museum. Who am I going to be left with? I just want to be happy. That's my goal. I know if I do drugs or I do alcohol, then I'm going to pay the price. And I can't justify 5 days of being on suicide watch just because I want to have 16 lines of coke. But I'm not.
Was that something you had to work through, or have you always had that?
Okay, so I've never tried drugs in my life. I had a joint.
Yeah.
Ages ago. About, how old are you?
26.
Okay, so it would have been before I would have been about 16, right? I'm not saying that I thought you were 16.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
You look young though.
I'll take it.
And thank God it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life, because it was like being on a trip that I couldn't get off. Right. And I'm so happy I didn't enjoy it, because I have such an addictive nature.
Sure.
That if I did, I'd probably be fucked completely. So I'm too scared to ever try anything like that. I think a lot of people that do suffer with anxiety and depression as well, we have a very common denominator. A lot of people escape themselves, and my addiction was gambling. I used to escape the way I feel by gambling, by trying to forget about my problems. But in actual fact, it catastrophizes the problem even more, because while you're away and not thinking about it, and suddenly if you lose all your money, you've got two problems. You've got to not only worry about yourself, but you've got fucking no money to feed you.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're catastrophizing the situation. My brother runs to alcohol and other people. And so it was very important to me that I try and limit these things. I don't want to live like a monk, but at the same time, I much understand that there's for every action, there's a reaction.
And so for our listeners who might be facing the same kind of problems, what were some tools that you used to help you get through that addiction?
Okay. So I do a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
besides the battery thing.
Yeah. So I do a lot, and I still fall over hurdles. I still have my hiccups.
Yeah.
But you'll be ignorant if you don't use all the tools that are in place. You guys are so lucky. It's so aware now. When I was young, there was mental health. No, when I went to the doctor and got diagnosed at the first place, nobody had even, of course they knew about it, but it was nowhere near as prevalent. There was no support. There was Lifeline. I think there might have been Lifeline. And then one person that was doing a course, and I did that course. I'm sort of getting away from the problem. So what did I do? I do everything I can possibly do to make myself the best version of myself. So my mental health regime is almost like a full-time job.
Yeah.
I do therapy. Yeah. I am on medication. I do cold showers. I do meditation. I exercise. I do everything that's possible to try and help me be the best version of myself. The two areas that I could be better, which I'm trying to address now, is I could clean up my diet, which I'm trying to. And the other area is that I could potentially time manage myself better. I do have a business manager, which helps me a lot in that, but I'm poor in those two areas.
You said you had addictive personality.
Yeah.
Would you say that, are you addicted to find the best version of yourself with all the things you do?
And you know what? That's such a great educated comment, because that actually makes you anxious within itself.
Yes.
So I'm working with my therapist on exactly that.
Yeah, wow.
That's a really educated comment. So there's two versions of myself. It's this Mr. Vulnerable, and then there's Mr. Perfection.
Yeah.
And this fucking
that could be dangerous, yeah.
It's dangerous. And I've always looked at Mr. Perfection and he looks at Mr. Vulnerable and always is disappointed, and it's exhausting to always try and be Mr. Perfection all the time. And
At
that's
the end of the day, you're not going to be perfect. Like, none of us is.
no, I get that. But when you're a high achiever, because as I said to you, I don't do many things good, but what I do, I do great. Yeah. So if I coach, I'm telling you, you've never seen a coach like I coach. I can't get all this publicity if I wasn't damn good at what I do. I pride myself on that. But priding yourself on that, it comes at a price.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll be honest with you, you know, sometimes it might be just nice just to be regular. But I wouldn't be sitting here if I was regular. You wouldn't be interested in me.
No, dude, you'd be probably pretty interesting anyway.
No, you wouldn't. But it's being honest.
Yeah, for sure.
You wouldn't have me. You wouldn't know who I was. There's a million coaches out there. But it comes at a price.
Yeah.
No, sure. And then, so growing up too then, were there ever any people that you really looked up to or that you felt influenced you?
So I was on, look, your backstory is really motivating and inspiring to me in the little words that you just told me, right? And I could sort of relate to that. I come from an ethnic family, like similar to yourselves. You know, my father is Italian and my mother is also Croatian, but also half Italian as well. I had privilege. I wasn't privileged, but I had privilege from them working so hard by going to a private school at the start, and then I got a scholarship at a private school for my athleticism. I was the dumbest cunt in the world. I'm honestly.
I can relate to that one.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck me dead. But so I, being ethnic, hard-working parents, I never really had a family life, you know, because they were just always at work. They never saw me run. They never saw any of my sporting achievements. Okay. I sort of lost that connection because, and not because they didn't love me, just the simple fact that they grinded. They just work. So looking back, it sort of had its positives and its negatives because some of my trauma is, you know, as being a young kid, you want some love sometimes, you know what I mean? Sure. I never thought it made any difference to me, but as I've got older, you know, and working through my trauma, some of the experience of just having nobody to be able to turn to at such a young age has now come back to haunt me. So did I have anybody that I used to look up to? The answer to your question is, and I'm not being up myself here, is no, not really. I didn't. I had nobody. Sport was a way of entertainment for me, and I idolized people. Yeah. You know, like Pelé in soccer or Maradona. You know, I loved that, but I didn't have really somebody that guided me or a mentor or so I didn't. And I was so shit at school that I actually rebelled against that. I don't know if you've heard on a previous podcast, but I got expelled from grammar for basically locking a teacher in a cupboard.
Oh, shivers.
So just to cut a long story short, because I felt intimidated by all the other students there because they're very smart kids there. It's a highly populated Jewish school. There's a lot of, and they're very, very intelligent. A lot of Asians as well, very extremely intelligent. In actual fact, if you saw that these guys play sport, you would think, thank God you're intelligent because you're fucking hopeless at sport. We'd play and we'd be getting beat by 70 at halftime every game, all the time. It was they couldn't catch a ball. It was a disgrace. But you look at the top 10%, when it came to the HSC, most of the students from that school were in it.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, I had this one teacher, and I was one of the only wogs at the school. There was only 2 or 3 wogs at the school. There's not many wogs at that school. And I don't know if he just had a resentment against me or my ethnicity but he used to pick on me all the time. Yeah, every class he would pick on me. Anyhow, this one day in particular, it was last period on Friday, and he was a commerce teacher. And in actual fact, at those days you were allowed to hit kids. He used to bash me all the time.
Yeah,
I'm not even joking. Not when I say bash me, he was like a football coach then, right? That was his side gig. So he was a strong guy. Gyms were hardly heard of in those days. And every time he used to walk in to my class and where I'm sitting, he would fucking knock me on the head with his knuckles, almost semi-concuss me. I was terrified to go to class every time. I'm not joking. Anyone that was at my school would probably back this up.
Yeah, wow.
Anyhow, so this one period, last period on Friday, and as soon as I walked into the class, he'd segregate me from anybody else. So I'd have to sit on one side of the room and everybody else, so I wouldn't disrupt this class. I was no angel. I'll be honest with you. I was a fucking stirrer because I felt intimidated by everybody else, that I tried to just get my own comfort zone by disrupting classes and trying to make people laugh. Anyhow, so this one day, I sat down in the normal spot with like everybody else. I was like, I'm fucking off this guy. You can get fucked. I'm not going to sit on that corner.
Fuck the corner.
I'm sick of it. Fuck me dead. I've been... Anyway, so he walked in and he said, oh, Fabri, what are you doing? I said, I just want to sit here. I'll be good today. No. Anyway, we went backwards and forward. Anyway, I had to relent because I didn't want to get a fucking another knuckle sandwich over the head, right? So he puts me to the one side of the room now, and everyone else was on this side. Then he starts writing on the board. And in those days, it just converted from chalk to texter, right? And so we had to have a stationary cabinet because there was multiple colours that you could use, even though there's many chalk colours. But they decided to have a walk-in wardrobe where you can have all your stationery in there, also in the classrooms, right? Anyway, so he puts me on that side of the room and everyone is on this side, and he's writing on a whiteboard. And then he turns around and he says, oh, Fabri, why aren't you writing down what I'm writing here? Everybody else has to write down, this is your homework. I said to him, sir, I'm not being a smart ass and I don't want to cause any problems today, but where you have put me on this side of the room, the sun is shining on the board. You're writing with a yellow texter. I can't see what you're writing. How am I supposed to write it? And he said to me, well, what do you want me to do about that? I said, well, fuck, you've only got two options.
Yeah.
Option one is that you go into your wardrobe and change your texter from a yellow one to a black one, or you move me on that side of the room so the sun's not shining on the board and I can see it. And he said to me, well, I'm not taking the second option. I'm not going to move you to there. I'll change the colour for you, Fabri. I said, all right, go and do that. So he walks into the cupboard to go and change it. I walked there, fucking locked the cupboard, bang, locked the door, and I dismissed the class.
What did all the other boys do?
Well, because I was a stirrer.
Yeah.
They were scared to go against me because, I was really popular. So they all left. I said, you guys, you're all dismissed.
You're joking.
That's not the end of it. That's not the end of it.
This
is last period Friday.
Right, you're kidding. Not the whole
No
weekend.
mobile phones.
Not the whole weekend. Surely not.
Sunday.
No way, mate.
Sunday.
So 2 nights.
I forgot completely about him. I went home, played on the street. Why would I?
How old were you?
I was 13 or year 10, what year 10, whatever year 10 was. And I didn't even think about it. So I'm walking to school on Monday morning. I got off the bus and I'm wondering, why is everybody outside the school? They're all waiting for me because the headmaster was scared if this guy catches me, he'll kill me.
The teacher.
100.
Yeah, wow.
His wife reported to the police. You would have thought the janitor or somebody would have fucking found him.
Yeah.
They cleaned the school. Yeah. And that was the story.
So after that story, what were the consequences of that? And if one of the consequences was you going into a bit of a lock-in, or was that not what happened? My question is, how did that happen?
Are you talking about how did I end up in custody?
It wasn't because of the teacher, or was something else?
No, a long time had passed since then, and I'll be honest with you. You know what led me to there was basically my addiction, the gambling addiction. The reason being is that I was always looking for ways to support my addiction, and so there's money is the only way. And I would never do anything illegal myself, but I knew people who were doing illegal things and getting fast money. So I met a person in a gym. I was training in a gym, and he knew I was a squarehead. What's the definition to you guys when I say squarehead?
Like straight edge?
Yeah, okay. So let's use that, hey? I was a really straight head. So I found it, I enjoyed hanging around people who had a little bit of character with them, like would do shady things or just, basically, I think this is a really good way of describing it. I wanted to be a gangster, but I'm not a gangster.
Sure.
Like I'll wear swag and, I've got a nice up woo chain. And so I like the swag that comes with all that type of style. In those days, these days, rappers have got those types of reputations. In my days back then, there wasn't that many gangs or stuff like that, but there was an underworld element that I was always intrigued about, to be honest, in the 80s and 90s. So what happened was that this guy, him and I became good friends, and he was training me. He was older than I am, and had a really good knowledge of core fitness, and that was one area that I needed to really improve in, was my core. So I actually was a doctor that I was seeing. He recommended I go and see this guy, so we became really good friends. And honestly, even to this day, right now, we're still friends.
Yep.
And I know he never really meant to hurt me. So it came an opportunity one day. He dropped me home from the gym, and he said, "Oh, you live here?" And I had a triple garage I was hiring and renting, and I still rent because of the fucking gambling. And I'm trying to send a message to your guys that if they do this, it's a road to nowhere.
Yeah, for sure.
I still rent, and I'll probably never. And you probably think, well, how do you get a watch like that? The reason I have a watch like that is because I trained a guy's kids who owns mines, and he gave that to me as a present.
Oh, wonderful.
So it was a wonderful present and something I'm really, really proud of. But I had no idea it was like, he said, "Don't open it here. You open it in your own time." I didn't even know. It was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so he dropped me home and he saw that I had a triple garage. And he said, "Oh, do you use all these garages?" And I said, "Not really. I had one, a little bit of gym equipment over there, and the other two, I don't." He said, "Do you mind if I rent the other garages off you?" And I needed the money. I was just working at Optus as a salesperson. And he said, "Do you mind if I rent the garages off you and you can earn some extra money?" I said, "Mate, fuck, knock yourself out. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to sit here and say to you that I didn't know that I didn't actually know what he was putting in there, but I gathered it had to be someone to take the attention away from himself."
Yeah.
I knew it would happen, but I thought, fuck, I don't give a shit what you put in there. As long as it's not dead people, fucking put whatever you want in there, right? Anyhow, I was getting fuck all in terms of ski. I was getting $100 a week. When you think about the price it's cost me, which I'll talk about, and you put it in the scheme of things, it doesn't even make any sense. It lasted about 6 weeks. He was under surveillance. I didn't know. I had no idea he was under surveillance.
Oh, wow.
So they saw him keep coming to my garage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll do the maths, right? Yeah. 6 by 100, I've earned $600, right? I come home from Optus one night. I used to finish at 8 o'clock at night. On the way home, I used to always ring my wife to make sure, because she was pregnant, that she was okay if she needed anything on the way home. We had a phone that had easy calls. So even if you were on the phone, because she didn't have a mobile at that stage, I had one. It was a company one. Mobiles were fucking, they used to look, they were about that big. So it was actually a hassle to have a mobile phone because they were so big to carry in the early days. So I was ringing while I was driving home. Phone was engaged, always. Now, I still didn't have any idea, but if you know now, the first thing is when they smash on your door, the coppers, the first thing they do back then is to make sure you can't contact anybody. Now they just take your mobiles off you, they take the phone off the receiver so nobody can get through. I didn't even think that. Anyway, I just thought, fuck, I wonder why this phone, there must be something wrong with the phone. Anyway, I finally get in, I was going to blast. I said, fuck, I've been trying to call you, I was worried sick. As soon as I walk into the door, the SWAT team, there's fucking coppers jumping out left, right and centre, guns and everything in my face. Like, what's going on? So I put two and two together. I thought, oh, fuck, don't tell me. Anyway, cut a long story short, I shut my mouth. I did my time. It cost me 50,000 going to court. I had 100,000 when I came out because money had to be given to my wife to be able to support ourselves. And I just did my time. So you know how hard it is to sit in a cell to think, I don't even know what I'm in here for.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll tell you that I'm not that type of guy. But it didn't matter. The lesson you learn is if you play in the kitchen, you get burnt, you cop it on the chin.
Yeah, always.
So that was a pretty tough time for me. And, you know, I didn't even know, I find it hard to survive out here. With all the resources you have, I thought, well, how is my mental, how am I going to survive this? You'd be surprised how resilient you are.
Yeah, sure.
When you have to find things, you know these stories you hear about people floating in the water for 3 days. I think they just found some guy who floated for fucking 3 days. How do they survive? You find a way. And it's true. You actually do. And to be honest, towards the end, I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, right.
Because I had peace and I learnt from myself, and you know what I was? I was abstinent from my addiction. Yeah. So that's that story, and it came back to fuck me up because, you know, getting fame, as you know, as you'll find out, people will look for things to fuck you up, and a journalist found out that I was in jail, so wrote about that. I ended up getting the sack from my normal job. I had to do this job. I had to have a job because I was almost unemployable now. Who's going to employ a person when 17 resumes hit their desk and you see one that says you've been in custody? That's the first one you're going to fucking get rid of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and so it was very, very difficult. I went through you had to show some real tenacity.
Yeah. The usual question when someone describes a lower moment in their life is what was the lowest moment into that moment.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, what was the happiest moment while you were incarcerated?
What was the happiest moment? You're going to think that this is the weirdest answer of all. Do you know what was the happiest moment for me while I was in there? Because I saw it happen to so many other people. I was so happy that I had an outside family that had that I had no problems, that I had security with, because I wasn't worried about if my wife or girlfriend was fucking Tom, Dick and Harry or whatever else. I had none of these problems. 85% of the fights that happen in jail are usually frustration for people not being able to control the scenarios out there, so they take it out with and I didn't have that issue. Yeah. I didn't give a shit if you needed to speak to your wife 50 times a day, which is what all these fuckwits do all the time. They ring up and harass them. Where are you? What are you doing? I didn't give a shit if I never used the phone ever. I didn't have anything like that. I was very, very fortunate that I had good security around me. So that was a blessing that I had, because I didn't do drugs. Most of the fights or stabbings or killings are either drugs related or outside control. They can't control anymore, which they can't get in their head that's over that side and just kick along and do your time. That was the blessing that I found.
Cool. That's great.
And I've adapted that to my lifestyle now. Yep. I work with my therapy that I try not to stress on things that you can't control. Yep. What's going to happen tomorrow is going to happen. Why do you stress about it? It causes you anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Wow. So big life then, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah,
it's a colourful one.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for sharing. That's great.
No, you're welcome.
And then, so what's next for Roger?
So what's next now is so replacing my addiction. I've now focused more on my business. So I have a lot of downtime because my prime times, if you understand the life of a person in the fitness industry, is either before and after school or before and after work.
Yep.
That's when we can get a capture of you guys, right? So in the middle of the days, we have a lot of downtime, and it's lonely because there's nobody around. You guys are all at work. I'm by myself. I used to always just find myself running to my addiction just to pass the time, but it didn't make sense. Like if I'm earning $1,000 a day, hypothetically, and then I go to the tab and lose 3,000, how does that even make sense? So what I've done, what I'm doing, and this is my goal, is just to, I want to die. And I just want to see how good my business can be before I die.
Yeah,
I want to. I'm trying to project everything. I've changed the quality of my content. I have a business manager. Instead of throwing this money away, I keep investing into my own business. So my goal is, before I go away, I want to just see if I can be good at one thing and leave a great business behind.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's more my energy is going on to that. And I've been really enjoying seeing some really good results come up. I've run into hurdles. One thing that I have decided for sure, I'm not a fucking business manager. I have no idea on business. Every business decision I made prior to me getting a business manager went kaput. I lost my arsehole. I used to think to myself, I'd rather put the money into the tab. At least I could have enjoyment of it. I just had no idea. There is a right way and a right way to run a business. And I decided I'll get somebody who's good at that. And ever since then, it's been taken a little bit of tailor making and tweaking, but slowly but surely in an area where the environment, the community right now is pretty tough. Small business owners are doing really hard things, and I try and support them as much as possible. But times are not easy out there, but touch wood, mine's okay.
Yeah, it looks like you're killing it as well. A lot of athletes, someone in the Commonwealth Games winning.
Yeah. Well, look, I have to be honest, at the end of the day, the NRL put me on the map. And I like to think of that because all the players that everybody knows are just NRL players. So as I said to you previously, or as you noticedly said, I couldn't make my money out of track and field. I had to be with people that are getting in the limelight and try and hopefully make a change in their life, which would make me get some highlight.
Yeah, sure. Amazing. And so I saw your main platform is Instagram, so you're putting a lot of content out there.
Yeah.
Where is that the only place you're putting content out?
Yeah, because I don't want to get into a position where there's so many platforms. Fuck me dead. If I go and open TikTok and Facebook and I already spend too much time on it as it is. I know everybody says, you can just post on one thing and then it goes to 3 different platforms at the same time. But then that's 3 different areas. I have to look at responses and see how it's progressing. Maybe that could be an area but if I do that, I'd get somebody to run it for me. So I have 2 handles. One is Mr. Roger Fabri, which is just all my personal fucking crazy weird. I'll never change that because it gives me joy. And if it's not politically correct and you're worried about me, then don't fucking go to that page because it's weird as all fuck. The other one, the Roger Fabri Speed Academy, I have no access to it. My business manager runs it. I have no access to it. I don't even know what the password, although she wouldn't let me have it. And everything that's on there is professional and proper content.
Right, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
So if you come to follow me, don't fucking judge me by the way what you see on that, because I'm a fucking great coach. But what you see on there is weird, and that's how I am. It makes me laugh. It makes you laugh. And if you're happy to have a really open mind, then go and have some fucking fun with me.
Yeah, I love that. The authentic page. I've watched a few of the videos. They're quite fun and interesting. And even your entrance today was awesome.
Thank you.
Very unique.
Look, you know what? I thanks for having me on. And it's been, I really enjoyed myself. I really do. Every time I get invited to go on one, I'm always hesitant because I know that I enjoy them and then somebody else will hit me up and I don't like saying no. Because I started from somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
And you got to support somebody.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no.
And if I can give you guys a little bit of fire, well, so be it.
No, thank you so much
you.
again for coming on, Roger.
You're welcome.
So, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You can find us on YouTube. It'll be out on Spotify as well. And then, Roger, what were your 2 Instagram handles again, just for everyone?
So we've got Mr. Roger Fabri, which is me, or the Roger Fabri Speed Academy, which is my business manager. Perfect. So if you're looking for content that's going to help you athletically, go there. If you want somebody to pull your cock or put some 3 or 4 fingers in your arsehole, then then go on to my one because I like. I
And if
like
you need assistance, you get George.
George was the fucking biggest Greek fucking poof you've ever met in your life.
I also got expelled for locking a teacher in the library cupboard.
And it's actually a true story.
Oh, that's so
It's true.
funny.
It's true.
But Roger, thank you again
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
Cheers.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Elliot.
Yeah, thank you, Elliot. We miss you, man.
Yeah,
And,
fuck you,
thank
Elliot. I don't even know what you fucking look like. So,
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
see ya.
Flex, check, flex, check, flex, check. Diamonds in my fangs, flex, check, flex, check, flex, check.